Big Sur, California, where the Santa Lucia Mountains rise abruptly from the Pacific Ocean, where the scenic Highway 1 snakes its way along the rugged coast of California, where the smell of salt water and fresh air invigorates my nose. Big Sur is home to me, Anika. I'm a Hungarian Vizsla, one of the fastest dog breeds in the whole world. Big Sur is home to Midway Falls, an 80-foot waterfall that empties directly into the ocean. Home to Bixby Bridge, one of the tallest single-span concrete bridges worldwide. Home to the California coastal redwoods, the tallest trees in the whole world. Home to pristine beaches, covered with purple sand. Home to my humans, Dana and Sarah. They're documentary filmmakers. I try to put up with them constantly making videos of me. They say the coast of Big Sur is the longest and most scenic stretch of undeveloped coastline in the entire United States. Highway 1 is actually the only road passing through Big Sur, so it's super important. We live just off Highway 1. Our driveway began on the south coast of Big Sur at a landmark called Mud Creek. You'll understand why it's called that later. See that windy dirt road climbing up the side of the mountain? That was the road to our house. Dana held me on her lap, and I braced myself for the rough ride up the steep, unpaved road with several nauseating switchbacks and hair-raising drop-offs. Our house was an off-grid cabin on a 200-acre property. We had a spectacular panoramic view of the sea. They raised me here because the land and sea are protected and preserved. Life in Big Sur was epic. Dana and Sarah were made for me, and I was made for them. Our hearts beat as one. They say I was born with an exuberant amount of energy. I'm 5 years old, but people still think I'm a puppy. My humans have a deep connection to nature and animals, but I'm pretty sure I'm their favorite. They take me on every adventure. Exploring the great outdoors is our way of life. I was taught that every part of nature has value. We have a sincere interest and a genuine concern for everything around us. Our only rules are to love one another and to protect the planet we call home. That's why we were sad when we witnessed the increasing impacts of storms, droughts, and wildfires in California and worldwide. When I listen closely, I hear all of nature speaking loudly, trying to send a message. The sound of crashing waves, the whisper of the blowing wind, the groaning of the earth. Even animals are trying to communicate. But is anyone listening? Who has a voice that can be heard? Maybe me. This is my true story about how the climate crisis has impacted me and my family. The year I was born was the hottest year recorded in California's history. Isn't that crazy? I panted so much, my humans took me to the beach every single day to stay cool. I overheard my humans talking about how off the coast of California, scientists recorded the warmest ocean surface temperatures in more than a century. Did you know our oceans are essential to maintaining a livable climate? Oceans soak up heat and carbon dioxide. As the ocean's uptake of carbon dioxide increases, the ocean's temperatures warm, the acidity increases, and the global sea levels rise. This is threatening the health and function of marine life and marine ecosystems. It is also threatening the coastal lands that are home for many millions of people and creatures throughout the world, like me. I love the ocean. I hope humans protect and restore the oceans for future generations. The forests are similar to the oceans because trees also absorb carbon dioxide, which helps maintain our climate. As the Earth's temperatures rise, hot and dry conditions increase the frequency, duration, and impact of wildfires. The first time I experienced the threat of a natural disaster in Big Sur was because of a monstrous wildfire that ignited during a severe drought in California. The fire was so big, they said you could see it from space. I heard that the bark of redwood trees is fire resistant, so I made sure to bark a lot to protect us too. Did you know redwood trees are connected to each other? Their roots hold on to one another through the harshest of weather and keep the grove of trees standing tall and strong together. To survive the extreme weather conditions in California, the bond between me and my pack has to be as strong as a grove of redwood trees. I love the forest. I hope humans protect and restore the forests for future generations. As the wildfire season came to an end, extreme weather events only worsened with the onset of winter. It is impossible to describe the intensity of winter storms on the Big Sur coast. Here, a rainstorm can completely change your plans for the coming weeks due to road closures and frequent mudslides. We tucked away inside the cabin for many days on end. I did my best to keep us all entertained. We were used to roughing it, but the next several months would bring us to the biggest challenge of our lives. Rainstorm after rainstorm was converging on the rugged coastline, delivering gale-force winds with gusts up to 80 miles per hour. Big Sur was experiencing one of the highest rainfall years the region had seen in over a century. The rain was turning into ice cubes falling from the sky. I could tell that something didn't smell right. Major flooding led to movement of the earth all around us. Our water pipes shifted and broke. We had no running water. I lay half awake, many sleepless nights, guarding my pack. They kept reassuring me everything is going to be all right. But wait, what was that sound? Suddenly, the house shook violently. In the middle of the night, massive boulders started to fall from above our house and crashed loudly all around us. The earth was starting to give way right next to us at Mud Creek. The highway below us was covered with water, mud, and rocks. The scariest part was that this was only the beginning. What was visible on the highway was only the tip of the iceberg. When I looked up, I could see that trees, rocks, and dirt were slowly sliding down the top of the mountain and landing on the highway. The lifeline through Big Sur was officially closed to the public. We soon discovered that several massive boulders had also fallen in the middle of our driveway. We were trapped. It took several weeks, which felt like forever, for the rock slide to be cleared. Every day we walked outside to look up at the mountain above us. There were visible cracks in the dirt on the side of the mountain that looked like they were ready to break loose. I could sense the tension mounting in my pack. Weather reports warned us that even more severe storms were on their way. The waves at Midway Falls were so big and powerful, they smashed into the coastline. Triggered by heavy rainfall, a series of destructive landslides began to fall all along the Big Sur coast. The crew at Mud Creek worked so hard to keep the road cleared. A huge boulder fell on the highway right by our driveway entrance. It was the absolute biggest I've ever seen on the highway. It covered the entire southbound lane in width and was taller than the big dirt hauling trucks. Just south of Mud Creek was a second landslide named Landslide. It caused an entire section of Highway 1 to crack and sink down several feet towards the Pacific Ocean. Landslide was named in honor of a kind woman who stood guard to ensure safe passage for anyone who dared to drive through. She always smiled and waved at me. Our landslide, although a smaller landslide, had a direct impact on our lives. The active landslide zone included our driveway, which was our only escape route off of the property. Large cracks severely fractured the earth and erupted in ridges. Our driveway was so damaged, it was impossible for a car to drive through. One day, Arlene and the crew warned us it was time for us to get out while we still could. They said access to our home was clearly at risk of dropping into the ocean. We were under what they called mandatory evacuation. The overwhelming sense of panic filled my nose. Our lives were in danger. They packed our valuables and we evacuated on foot and paw. I led the way as they hastily dragged their suitcases down the mile-long driveway through the active landslide. Dana tried to document it with her iPhone, but we had to be quick. The earth was moving under my paws. Would we make it out in time? I was sad and tired when we arrived at our car parked along the highway. This couldn't be right. This was our home. It's always been our home. It's the only home I ever knew. How could we leave it all? What would happen to us? My nose was cold and wet with panic. Their breathing was shallow and fast. Little did I know, we would never go back to our house again. Shortly after we evacuated, I saw a breaking news report that made my fur stand on end. On May 20th, 2017, the largest coastal landslide in California's history completely buried the scenic Pacific Coast Highway in Big Sur, California. The mass earth movement at Mud Creek added 15 acres to the coastline. More than 1 million tons of dirt and rock fell from the mountain into the heart of the sea. The landslide covered roughly 1/3 of a mile of this scenic route under 40 feet of rubble. It was deeper and wider than any hole I could dig. Our house was the closest residence to the record-breaking landslide, just a frisbee's throw away from the catastrophic collapse. They had definitely made the right decision to evacuate. Unfortunately, the earth was still continuing to move. My humans listened to the earth's warning signs and decided to relocate to protect us all. We are one of the many Californians who were displaced by a natural disaster this year. I wondered, why is this happening? Scientists say that the cause of the landslide was due to the impacts of global warming along the coast of California. Brave humans climbed to the landslide's crown and rappelled down its steep face in an effort to tame the wounded mountain. They clung onto the fragile ribs of the nearly vertical slopes. The scale of the landslide was overwhelmingly huge. Humans working on it looked as small as tiny fleas on the back of a Great Dane. The earth is still slowly moving and adjusting, trying to find equilibrium. Geologists and engineers worked hard trying to figure out how to mend the severed limbs of the highway. They used heavy machinery to move dirt. They drilled holes into large boulders and blew them up with sticks of dynamite so they wouldn't fall and hurt anyone. Humans tried with all their might to make it possible for people to travel through Big Sur again. I couldn't believe it. The highway was rebuilt directly on top of the landslide. Highway 1 in Big Sur, a major tourist destination, did not reopen for over a year. The worst seems to be over, but Mud Creek has taught us that nature is full of surprises. Eventually, we had the courage to revisit the place we once called home. I felt so excited. Are we finally going home? Our hearts began to race. The world seemed to fall all around us in slow motion as I stared up at the immense mountain of dirt. I searched their eyes for answers, but their eyes were wet. Suddenly I knew, this is no longer our home. The highway was rebuilt and open, and we could begin to rebuild our lives as well. For several months, we lived out of a tent, searching for a new place to call home. My humans seemed pretty bummed out, so I insisted that we play in the great outdoors more than ever. I showed them every day that I would be there for them. Although we were displaced, we were filled with gratitude and so thankful to be alive. We discovered that there is no perfect place on Earth that's free of natural disasters. And that means we are all in this crisis together, guiding each other towards redemption. My story might seem insignificant in the big picture, but no one is too small to make a difference. Dana said studies show that people with post-disaster trauma recover quicker when they have an animal companion. Sarah said I saved their lives. Big Sur is home to Midway Falls, an 80-foot waterfall that empties directly into the ocean. Home to Bixby Bridge, one of the tallest single-span concrete bridges. Home to the California coastal redwoods, the tallest trees in the whole world. Home to pristine beaches, covered with purple sand. Home to Mud Creek Landslide, one of the largest coastal landslides in California's history. Big Sur is no longer home to me and my two humans. Planet Earth is our home. I love my humans so much, and I know that they love me. It is vital for our future that humans love one another and, as stewards of the Earth, protect the planet we call home.